Well, the debates are going to happen very soon, or maybe by the time you're watching this, they've already happened. Um, I'm not sure what's going to happen, not necessarily during the debate. Of course, I'm always interested in that, but more specifically, like for Andrew Yang, like what the effect will be on his polling and popularity or recognition or whatever after the debates, because it was thought that perhaps the CNN town hall would really boost him. Not really. Not really. So it's hard. What's hard to tell is what effect the internet will have on him. Because if we're going by internet stuff, I mean, he's doing well. But here's the reality check. The reality check is that just because you're popular online doesn't mean anybody's heard of you or knows who you are or what you're about. So online stuff has its limitations in terms of spreading the message. It works, it has an effect, but it's just not as maybe powerful as we might think, especially when we spend all our time on there and we're down a rabbit hole, and that's where we that's basically where we get our media diet from. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what will happen after the debate if his internet, groundswell that he currently has will amplify to the next level from the debates. I'm very curious to see if that will happen. Um, yeah, so I mean, he's been making appearances. He had the interview on Stephen Colbert the other night, and overall it was a decent interview. It wasn't I wouldn't say it was a total home run of an interview in some aspects, but I mean, he did get a lot of exposure. I mean, he was also on Bill Maher, and I talked about that, and also now on Stephen Colbert, and I mean, it was all right. It was good. He got his face and name out there in national media with the popular show. Um, there was an interview he did on NBC. I think it's NBC Nightly News, some NBC feature piece, and it was a really good interview. I have actually not heard Andrew Yang talk so, I don't know, compact and fierce and aggressively that way before. I was like, oh, I wonder if Andrew Yang is honing his debate, speak, and or he probably, knowing him, not that I know him, but he might already have all that figured out, and he's just like doing a slow rollout. So, and then once the time comes, you're expecting the same Andrew Yang, but then all of a sudden, bam, he hits hard. Like, whoa, this is the same message, but he's delivering with a fire we haven't seen. And so I might have gotten a little bit of a taste of that fire in that NBC interview. So that was pretty cool to see. Um, what else? I was thinking about like Andrew Yang's just being so visionary, like to the point where we got it's tough to communicate. It's really hard to get people, I think, to project forward, to think ahead. We are not very good at this generally as a society. We're very reactive versus proactive. Um, but, you know, maybe like painting a picture, like, because, so what's his tagline? His tagline is, we're in the third inning of the one of the biggest industrial revolutions we've seen um, in modern history. Um, and maybe some people can wrap their minds around that, but here's one. Think about dial-up internet back in the mid to late 90s. when we were in the dial-up internet mode, and and people had it, everybody had it, and everybody was using it. In that moment of time, do you think Borders, Bookstore, or Blockbuster Video could even conceive that that would be the death of them? That the basically internet would be the death of them? They probably had no clue. I mean, it's like dial-up internet. All right, cool. We can surf the web and check email and things like that. Maybe a little IM here and there, but I just don't get the feeling that they had thought in their head. We're talking about mid '90s, mid late '90s. Did any of us see it coming? With this is the when we were doing our dial-up internet stuff? Did we think, this is the end of Borders, or this is the end of Blockbuster? No, we didn't think that at all. I mean, I didn't. I was not that much of a futurist by any stretch of the imagination. So perhaps the robotics and automation and AI that we have today is kind of like the dial-up version, right? And what we have 10, 15, 20 years from now is going to be something completely unfathomable, except Andrew Yang has already fathomed it, and he sees it, and he's really trying to get us to see it. Like, look, you really do have to think forward, think ahead on this. You got to picture it. So maybe, something about like, do you remember when, whatever, like that, like I think dial-up is a really good example because many of us do remember dial-up internet, and for us to even predict IoT, the Internet of Things, where my refrigerator is communicating to my my heating and cooling HVAC system thermostat, and that's communicating with my oven. Like, no, we had no such concept in our heads that those machines would be talking to each other. Communicating data back and forth to each other. We had no concept of that. So we couldn't see it forward. So maybe if we think about like just robotics and AI and automation, like we're in the dial-up internet phase, that's kind of where we're at. Perhaps that can help us kind of conceptualize and wrap our minds around, something big's coming. It's coming. And right, like where we are with the internet, today, it wasn't just a wham bam smash type situation. It was a slow rollout, of things. So that's how it's going to be. So I think Andrew Yang really trying to get people to think forward. That's his message: not left, not right, forward. To really project into the future and think about it in those terms. Maybe more on that could be said or done just to create strong imagery. The other thing is that I wanted to just sort of leave off on is, have you ever seen those after school videos? It's like after a school spelled SKOOL, where they talk about some interesting concepts, philosophical, economic, whatever, and the person's like drawing it like really quickly, like sketching out in kind of cartoon form, like the concept that's being talked about, and they have famous people, like their speeches, and they just basically animate and illustrate it, like people like Simon Sinek and George Carlin and guys like that. So wouldn't it be cool if someone did something like that with like Andrew Yang's fundamental proposal and policy, especially around the freedom dividend, universal basic income, and maybe how that ties into other tech things, and other positions that are just like really powerful, strong positions that are really, really worth knowing about. It'd be cool to have that kind of illustration, because I do feel like sometimes, and forgive me for thinking this, but I almost feel like sometimes his concepts might be too heady for maybe people to grasp like right away. Not too. I'm not saying people are not smart enough to grasp onto it, but like it doesn't have necessarily a real immediate soundbite appeal all the time, you know. And the thing of $1,000 a month, I mean, it's just like you just instant doubt. You know, hopefully it's enough doubt to like, well, okay, let's see what this is about, and then you start listening and finding out like, oh, actually, this makes a lot of sense. You know, so maybe some sort of illustrated thing like that they do for after school, just to explain Andrew Yang's positions in a way that people can really visualize, I think would be another great asset for him. All right, well that's it. Let's see how the debates go on Thursday, and you know, good luck to him. I hope it all goes well.